Greetings, fellow test subjects. Test subject 1337 here for Aperture Gaming. They make it, we test it, you play it. And welcome to this episode of Aperture Gaming. Today we're going to review Mafia 3. Now, before I get into the official review, there are a couple of things I do have to go over. I have some notes here that I need to read, and I want to make sure I didn't skip anything important, so please bear with me. Now, first and foremost, this is an M-rated game. Now, here on this channel, we have Channel PirateCaptainJeff. Everyone here, when there's something like M-rated or R-rated or MA-rated, we want to make sure that anyone can come onto YouTube and watch the review. We try, so this way, let's see. We ask that you please be responsible. Like, if you're a parent, do not just buy this game for your kid, because there is a lot of stuff in this game that is not suitable for children. So we try to make sure that the review, everyone can see it, so this way they know what they're getting into. And this game is definitely not for children because, well, here's what. We ask that if you're going to play this, please game responsibly, because it is rated M for mature, and it definitely earns that because even though this game is a work of fiction, it features violence, crime, use of drugs, use of alcohol, strong language, nudity, and racism. Now, we here at Channel PirateCaptainJeff, we believe in the equal rights and fair treatment of everyone. We do not support racism. We do not condone it in any way, shape, or form. It has no place in society whatsoever. And neither does crime. So drugs, crime, racism, we do not support any of this in the real world whatsoever. Now, this is featured in the game, but now here's what. There are some games, like Assassin's Creed, they depict places and time in history. And in a previous video, many videos back, PirateCaptainJeff, he did the DLC zone review of Assassin's Creed Black Flags, featuring the DLC, let's see, I think it was, Cry Freedom, yeah. That dealt with the subject of slavery, and let's see, he went on to mention that while the actions of the past are historically accurate, the actions themselves are wrong. So both that DLC review and the review of this game, unfortunately, the wrongs of the world are part of, for that DLC, or more for this game, entirely the focus of the game. Now, here's what. After you load the game, and you make your difficulty choices, and aiming choices and subtitles, the people behind this game, Hangar13, they post an opening statement about the game. And it reads as follows. Mafia 3 takes place in a fictionalized version of the American South in 1968. We sought to create an authentic and immersive experience that captures this very turbulent time and place, including depictions of racism. We find the racial beliefs, language, and behaviors of some characters in this game abhorrent, but believe it is vital to include these depictions in order to tell Lincoln Clay's story. Most importantly, we felt that not to include this very real and shameful part of our past would have been offensive to the millions who faced, and still face, bigotry, discrimination, prejudice, and racism in all its forms. Now, with end quote. With the world in this current state of crazy that it is, we felt that we needed to address these issues before getting into the main review. We appreciate that Hangar13 is putting in the time and effort on this game, and for acknowledging that there are several areas in the game that are highly offensive and wrong, but are, unfortunately, part of the history of the world. While these negative factors are in the game, let's see, and it is part of the story, the review we intend to focus on like the mechanics, visual, audio, and in general, here on this channel, we are just here to play the game, review the game. We do not, like I said at the start of this, we do not support or condone the actions of this game. Like the crime, the drugs, the racism, we do not support this happening in the real world. Yeah, but this game is a work of fiction, but it involves real-world elements. So yeah. Thank you for your time and patience to listening to. Thank you for your time and patience for listening to us address this very important issue. So we will now begin with the actual review of the game. You play as Lincoln Clay, and as we read, the game takes place in. The game takes place in New Bordeaux, Louisiana, 1968. It's about 13 years into the Vietnam conflict, and the main part of the game is set. The first part, the opening of the game is during Mardi Gras, which took place in February on the 27th. But then the game skips ahead a little bit, and it's after the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And it's set in this fictionalized city of New Bordeaux, which is supposed to be like New Orleans. So this game, it is set in the South, and there are elements like so like I said, there is going to be negative depictions of humanity at some of its low points. As Lincoln Clay, your family and friends are horrifically murdered by the Italian Mafia. And so, as Lincoln Clay, you strive to now seek revenge against them by building your own Mafia family. Like the tagline for the game says, family is not who you're born with, it's who you're willing to die for. The game has several elements. First, there's driving. There's a whole bunch of cars that are from like the 50s and the 60s, which all look really, really swell. And based on which part of the city you're in, shows the quality of the car. There's also some boats, because this is a coastally located city, so you have like the ocean where you can drive around in part, and then you have like several rivers that you can navigate through. At the time of playing this, I didn't get far enough to see if there was a fast travel unlock system, so that's how you get around mostly, either on foot, car, or boat. As you complete missions, you start to build up infamy in the gang world. Now you have two options. When you're making a new business or taking over an old one, you can either have the old leader work for you, or you can kill them. Now here's an interesting thing. The game has two elements of combat. Go in guns a-blazing, or stealth. You can do either one. As for the stealth factor, here's a weird thing. At the start, you start with only non-lethal takedowns, but then you get a knife to do lethal takedowns. And if you want to switch between lethal and non-lethal, you have to actually pause, go to the options menu, and under the settings you have to choose between lethal and non-lethal. And seeing as how I was going to be interacting with trying to stop civilians from reporting me to the police, I mostly kept it on non-lethal, because I think I inadvertently killed a few while driving around, but oh yeah, here's the thing. You can drive around and you try to obey the traffic signals, because there are foot cops and cops in cars, so if you violate too many traffic laws, they will notice what you're doing. Depending on which neighborhoods you're in, a cop response time could be like leisurely for like the high crime rate, low poverty areas, to like the upper crust fancy nose in the air, oh, a crime is being committed, someone call the police now, regions of the town. Yeah, there's a lot of diversity and between like the low and the high end areas of the town. There's even some areas where you can't go into like a store because some of the stores are segregated, which is and you do see some areas with the Confederate flag proudly displayed. For those who are, like I said, this game focuses in a very, very dark time and place in human history. Now, as you go around the city completing missions, a little bit in you find like circuit boards, little circuits that you can create wiretaps, and it reveals the hidden collectibles throughout the city. Which, trust me, you'll want to keep an eye out for. There's magazines for like cars. There's let's see what else is there. Oh yeah, there's record cover albums, and here's what. As promoted heavily throughout the promo period for this game, there's like over 100 songs, I think, from like 1968 and maybe a few years back. by various groups, and it's great having a soundtrack to listen to all these while driving around or just in the game. And let's see, there is some other stuff you can collect, and this is where the nudity comes in, and you definitely don't want your kids getting their hands on this game. One of the things you can collect are Playboy magazines. And I think I was partially aware of this because when Zero Punctuation reviewed Mafia 2, he said you could collect those also. So you collect it, you can see the magazine cover, and you do see some of the pictures on the inside, so yeah, definitely not for the kids. And one of the magazines I did get, as the joke goes, I read it for the articles. There was an actual article in there, so I thought that was pretty funny. One of the other collectibles that you definitely don't want your kids getting their hands on, there are paintings around the city by someone named Vargas. They depict very attractive women in eau naturel. So like I said, this game is definitely not for the kids. Do not let them get anywhere near this. And aside from that, like I said, you have your gunplay where you're running around either shooting stuff or throwing explosives. Yeah, and your playstyle varies between stealth or full assault. And as you go through the game, there's an interesting factor. You collect money, which you can use to buy upgrades for like yourself, or you can buy guns. And here's what. Let's say you have $200 and then you die. You then only have $189. It takes away money from you every time you die. And to prevent you from losing money, you have to put it in a safe at an off-site location. Which I thought was pretty cool incentive for you to keep returning to this one area and keep saving money. The best part is, if you don't have any money in your wallet and you want to buy a gun that's $2,000, the gun, let's say you have $2,000 in the safe. You can buy the gun because it'll just take it right out of your safe. So, interesting shopping system. There's like maybe a couple of graphical issues. Like I noticed for like a cutscene, there was like this weird table issue. Sometimes with the NPCs walking around while the other characters are talking during the cutscene, and some weird issue with the Lincoln's clothes for a few shots. Yeah, so audio-wise, visual-wise, technically, the game handles great. Great visuals, great mechanics. Only one update patch so far, and since this was a rent, I didn't get the family kickback bonuses, but those will probably be released later on for DLC. Paid or free, I don't know. And who knows, we're probably going to get more story content or some side missions or whatnot. So, technically, yes, this is a really good game. As for focal point for some of the, like I said, not one of humanity's highlights in history and time and location. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. And like we said, we do not support or condone the actions. Yeah, so this is just a video game. Fictitious people, fictitious city, but based on realism, so yeah. So we here at Aperture Gaming, we give Mafia 3, we give it a 9 out of 10. Like we said, we give it for the mechanics and the playability and the features, but we do not support the racism or the crime or the drugs or like any of the really negative stuff that could be seen or from the real world, or that it's taken from the real world. So yeah, please game and play with caution, and please be responsible. And yeah, the game was good for playing, but this review was very difficult. We wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that this game did have all these negative features. Not the technical wise, but regarding the story and yeah, the language, the violence, the story, the very bad parts of humanity. Alright, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thank you for watching. This has been Test Subject 1337 saying thanks again and have a nice day.